Hello guys, welcome to today's video session. Today we're going to be reviewing Meta Horizon Workroom PC requirement for coding productivity. And why am I doing this? I'm doing this because a lot of people want to use VR or mixed reality headsets for productivity. And one of the most popular productivity app is the Horizon Workroom beta. A lot of people must have been wondering, what do I need to run this? Or some might not even know what PC requirement that is needed to run this setup. So today, I'm going to be going through this tutorial on the Horizon Workroom itself. But before that, let's look at what Meta Horizon Workroom is about. So if I scroll down, so we can see that Horizon Workroom is a VR workspace for teams to connect, collaborate, and create. You can meet your teams, across like the same space, so you'll be in the same virtual environment. Even if you join on the web, you'll be able to see how your team are seated and be able to see what is being shared. I'm going to open the workroom now. So opening the workroom, greeting me is 3 sets of monitors, which is adjustable actually. So right now I have 3 sets of monitors, and what I would like to show us today is for us to get the PC requirements right, and also to get the headset requirements or the applications that are needed to run a smooth workroom without any glitch or hitch. So I'm going to start with the system that I'm using at the moment. So I'm using an HP Envy X360 convertible. Which has a physical memory of 16 gig, and it has 1 terabyte SSD hard drive, and it runs on Intel Core i5 8th generation. The CPU is clocked at 1.6 gigahertz, and it has 4 cores and 8 logical processors. So before today, I was using 8 gig of RAM, and I had to update it to 16 gig of RAM. And why is that? So I'm going to get to that shortly. I do not have anything much running, so I just have my Edge browser running. I have File Explorer open, a sticky note, task manager, some pictures, snippet too. I have the Meta Quest itself, remote desktop itself running, and I have settings running. So basically, I'm not running any development tool. So right now, we are going to look at my system metrics with the few things that I have running at the moment. So if we check my CPU is between 73, 76, 74 right now, running at 3.0807 gigahertz. Right, you can see the graph. So you can see that's fair enough. So that was what I was about saying about the RAM that I changed. You can see my RAM is 15.8 gig. So if I go there now, and you can see at the moment I have 8.8 gig memory available. That's quite a lot. That's even more than half. but that's because I'm not running any of my IDE setup right now. If we go to the GPU, so we can see my GPU is running 4%, 8%, 14% utilization at the moment. So I'm using Intel UHD graphics 620, and that's the only GPU I'm using. So having this in mind, we are going to check the system specification by Meta. So we can see the minimum PC requirements and the recommended PC requirements. And we also have the supported GPUs for link. So going to the minimum PC requirements, so we can see the processor at Intel Core i5 4th generation or AMD Ryzen 5 1500X or greater. So right now I can say I meet the minimum requirements, because if you see my CPU, which is currently running at 100 right now, you can see I'm running Core i5 8th generation. So the graphics card, we'll see that below, which we will check shortly. The memory, 8 gig plus RAM, 8 gig minimum. Yes, 8 gig RAM. We actually run this. I'm using DDR4 RAM. So I had to change this because with 8 gig RAM, my CPU is always full and my memory is always maxing out. So, but I'll still get to that. So operating system, Windows 10, I'm using Windows 10 Pro and USB ports. So with this, I would say the only thing that I would not recommend to run a coding or software engineer setup on Meta Horizon Workroom is the memory. So this memory is too small, basically. So looking at the processor, which is Core i5 4th generation, I would recommend anything from the 8th generation upward first. Then for the memory, I would recommend nothing less than 16 gig of RAM. So let's go to the recommended PC requirements and let's see how I stack up with that. So the processor recommended for recommended smooth operation, Intel i7 or AMD 7. So which I'm using Core i5. The graphics card, NVIDIA RTX 20 series or AMD RX 6000 series. Then we can see the memory at 16 gig. Okay, DDR4, so which is the same thing I'm also using. Operating system 10 and 11, then USB ports 1 or more. So now let's go to the list of GPUs. As we can see a note here, it says NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2050 is not supported. Please take note of this. Before buying a Quest headset, make sure that you have a compatible PC, or else you are still going to spend more money to, get a new PC to support that. So looking at the list of supported GPUs, we can see that NVIDIA Titan Z is currently not supported. Sadly, NVIDIA Titan X is supported. GeForce GT X970 is supported. These are the ones supported for desktops. GeForce, then GTX 1060M is not supported. So 1070, all of them are supported. 1080, all of them are supported. GeForce GTX 1650 not supported. 1650 Super is supported till. So you can see that RTX 20 series, all of them are supported except 2050. Please take note of this before committing to buying the headset. Also, RTX 30 series, all of them are supported. So the AMD GPUs, so we can see the list that are supported. So AMD 200 to 300 series are not supported, take note of that. But AMD 400 to Vega series are supported. So, but note that the Radeon RX 6500 is not recommended for use with Link. And the software requirements for this is to have the Meta Quest Remote Desktop on your PC, and also have the Meta Quest Horizon on your installed on your headset. Then you will be able to run this. So today, basically, I just want to take us through the amount of memory that is required to actually run a C# Visual Studio setup. So as we know, Visual Studio and Android Studio, they are quite heavy IDEs, so which I think it will be like the best setup to actually test my system at the moment. So as we can see, I'm not doing anything on the system. Like I said, the CPU is at 76 top max, then GPU is at 7% max, as you can see. Then the memory is actually quite stable, 46%. So these are my system requirements. You can see 16 gig. Then you can see the virtual memory also. And I'm using x64 based PC. And then let's get to it. I'm using Windows 11 Pro also. So right now we are going to be watching the CPU, the memory, and the GPU utilization. So right now I would create a test application and I'm going to run it. So currently I'm running Microsoft Visual Studio. So we can see the CPU is on 100, but the system still works fine without any much noticeable delay from when I move the mouse and when it responds. I haven't created anything. It drops at this point, and I think it's back up and it dropped again. It's back up and it's dropping. So we can see the CPU utilization is at 22. So one of the settings that I did is make sure that my Visual Studio is being processed by the GPU. So I've set my Visual Studio, my SSMS, to be processed by the GPU, not by the CPU. So that's why we'll be able to see that the startup takes up the whole CPU, but when it has normalized, we can see the CPU is now running at 27, maxing to 80, 84, 85 right now. But looking at the memory, so we can see the memory, we still have 7.6 gig available. So that's fine. So let us create a new project. ASP.NET Core Web API application. So right now, I can see my keyboard. I don't know if you can see it right now, but I can see it from my end. And I have no light on at the moment. So, but I can still see my keyboard without any issues. So let's name this Horizon Workroom Test 1. So because we might probably create 2 applications. So I can see a bit of lag at the moment, but it's still holding up fine. Yeah, noticeable lag. I don't know if you can notice that. So yeah, I'm creating that. So I'm creating ASP.NET Core Web API. I think I'm going to use 6.0 still in support. So that's fine. Configure HTTPS. That's fine. So let's create it. So as we're creating it, let's monitor the memory and the CPU. Also the GPU. The GPU is currently at 34, going to 49, dropping back. So this is stable enough, right? I think this is stable enough. So we can see that the project is creating. The CPU is not stable, it's maxing out and dropping at the same time. So, but one of my advice would be at the moment, as you can see, Horizon Workroom is still in beta. So there are many breaking changes that are being pushed to it. So I would not recommend you getting MetaQuest headsets for productivity, or let me say using it with Workroom yet, because it's still in active development. So it's loading. So let's see how many minutes it takes for it to load. It's ready. My system is hanging, probably because it's still loading. So let's wait a bit for it. So that took some time for it to create. So we can see that the RAM is going up. Yeah, my system is hanging actually. So but let's wait for it and see. So at the same time, while this is running, let us create a new project, which is a web application. So let's create a new project. So we're basically going to run two projects simultaneously. So web application. So it's taking time for it to load. So for anyone that ate a lagging system, I would advise to first upgrade your PC before you buy MetaQuest headsets. Sorry, I'm using MetaQuest 3, if I did not mention that. So before you buy any of the headsets, please do upgrade your PC. So we can see this is lagging considerably. So still loading. Basically want to load the template for web application, and it's taking this long to load. So let's try and filter it out. Okay, yeah, we have it. So ASP.NET web application. So go to next. So right now you can see the memory is quite stable. So we can call this workroom tests 2. So visual is no problem at all. Like I said, I have no lights on in my office right now, and I can see my keyboard without any issues. So yeah, let's create it. So yeah, it's creating. You can see that that was fast to load as compared to the first try. So which might mean probably the system has catch some of the processes. So without wasting time, I'm going to run both projects. So I'm going to shift this one here. So you can see how it's lagging considerably, but let's run the workroom test 2 and also run, we have the workroom test 2. Okay, I've closed the first one. Let's open that. Okay, let's open a new one then. So I've right clicked, but it's yet to show up. Clicking again, yeah, it's here. So we're going to run the workroom test 1 separately. So we're running 1 right now. Let's see how that is stacking up. So that is currently running. Workroom test 2, which is a web application, is currently running. So it's asking if I want to trust the SSL certificate. I say no. So this is loading at the same time. So we can see that if you actually want to do anything meaningful, like coding on Workroom, you need Core i7 upward, to be honest. Else, you would not be able to do anything meaningful on the system. So, but you can see memory is not an issue. 16 gig of memory should be enough, basically, to even run like more than 3 projects. That should be enough, to be honest. So memory is not an issue. My SSD 1 terabyte is not an issue. You can see it is quite stable. Even the GPU, surprisingly, has not been an issue. Surprisingly, I'm using a very low GP, so you can see 1932. It has not even gone to that. It has never been maxed before, and right now, Visual Studio is running on GPU, and you can see that is able to hold it without any issues. So without wasting our time, my recommendation for PC will be Core i7. So if you go back to this page, scroll up. My recommendation will be Core i7, 8th generation upward or any generation, but Core i7, is much more faster than Core i5. Definitely. For graphics card, I would advise just go with the lowest that is here. It doesn't really matter, especially when you're just running Visual Studio and running the SQL server management studio. Also, it doesn't matter. GPU does not really matter. I think what matters most is the CPU and the memory. So, and because I've also tested it out, I'll also do a video on the immersed PC requirement, and also there's a new one that I just discovered that I also do a video on. So right now this is running, but it is unable to run because unable to configure HTTPS. So let's stop it and let's run it again. This time let us allow HTTPS. Yes. So let's see what we say. So yes. So guys, my recommendation, like I said, Core i7 upward, 16 gig of RAM upward to do anything meaningful with Visual Studio or with C# development. So imagine adding emulator to this for mobile development, right? and or imagine opening a project, a big comprehensive project. So imagine how slow it will also be. So again, so let me just take you through the environment quickly. So I'm not using my controller at the moment. I prefer using my hand basically because the track I'm tracking on the workroom is actually quite almost perfect. So let me take you around to settings. You can see the account. I'm signed in. You can see my avatar. Hello guys. Cool. Um then if you want to reset your desktop, so which is this. So you can see they are working simultaneously. So if you want to go, so I always have issues with this. So if you want to do immersive mode without anything showing, so you can see my environment, lovely environment actually. I prefer this any day, anytime. Yeah. So I wanted to see the front actually, so you can see the environment, so lovely. You can have other guys join you in this, in your environment, in your workspace. That's the beauty of this. So we go, then we can also go to the pass-through keyboard pass-through mode. So I will establish you with that. So text pass-through. I don't know if you can see my keyboard at the moment, so you'll be able to see your ends, and it's a smooth transition. Smooth transition. So like I said, my light is not on and I can still see my keyboard without having any issues. So going back to this, we can see this is running. There's no need to continue with this. You can clearly see that it's lagging even without running the second application. So it's unusable for any real world, coding. Basically, it will just be a waste of time, I guess. So I will do a tutorial on the whole workroom itself later on, and also let me know what you want to know so that I can test it out for you in workroom. And like I said, I will do comparison with workroom and immersed, workroom and overlay, and other XR desktop extra application that we have right there right now. So I hope this is actually useful for you, and I hope you do not waste your time and your investment on buying a Quest headset and you now discover that your system won't be able to actually power your IDE or your environment. So let me know if you have other environments that you would like to work on. I can install that for you and try it out for you and see if it will actually work with my current system PC requirement. Thank you guys. Please subscribe to the channel. As you can see, this is my first VR video. I think from here it will be improvement, right? So thank you guys and love you.